Yo, hoop fans! Your sideline sage, Tips and Streams, is lacing up once again. On deck, deep dives into the freshest NBA clashes, ready to set the planks ablaze. But before we jump the ball, be sure to hammer that subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep hooked with our sharp forecasts and prime selections. All right, let's bounce into today's NBA Crystal Ball reads.
The first today's prediction is for matchup between Chicago Bulls and Charlotte Hornets. As the Chicago Bulls and the Charlotte Hornets gear up for their latest clash at Spectrum Center, we're in for an electrifying contest. The Bulls, sporting a 22-26 tally, are gearing up to face off against the Hornets, who currently stand at a 10-35 record. The Bulls are looking to keep their winning streak alive, having already secured victories in all three encounters against the Hornets this season. The Bulls have been on a roll thanks to stellar performances from stars like DeMar DeRozan, Kobe White, and Nikola Vucevic. That said, they'll be hitting the court minus Zach LaVine, Patrick Williams, Torrey Craig, and Lonzo Ball, all sidelined with injuries. DeRozan and White have been particularly dynamic in their games against the Hornets, with DeRozan averaging 21.3 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 5.3 assists, and White bringing in an average of 22.7 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 5.3 assists. Meanwhile, the Hornets have been averaging 108.6 points per game, shooting at 45.9% from the field and 36% from beyond the arc. Despite a tough season, players like Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, and possibly LaMelo Ball, who's currently day-to-day with an ankle injury, are poised to give the offensive push needed. Bridges has been a consistent scorer, especially against the Bulls, averaging 22.7 points in their matchups. Looking at the current form and considering the injury issues, the Bulls seem to hold an upper hand in this battle, particularly with their historical success in Charlotte. However, it's worth noting that the Bulls have had a mixed bag in back-to-back games this season, with just 3 victories out of 8 attempts. On the flip side, the Charlotte Hornets, despite a rough season, could find themselves with an edge against the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls, undoubtedly a stronger team on paper due to their record and recent showings, are facing a major challenge with fatigue. This game comes right after another, including travel, a demanding aspect of the NBA's rigorous schedule. The fatigue factor is crucial, especially considering DeMar DeRozan's hefty 42 minutes on the court in yesterday's game against the Raptors. Other key players also racked up over 35 minutes of game time. This extended play, particularly in high-stakes games, can lead to exhaustion and a dip in performance, both offensively and defensively. In the NBA, various factors can sway a game's outcome, and fatigue is definitely a major one. The Hornets, with the home court advantage and presumably fresher legs, might seize this opportunity. Their recent form and ability to exploit the Bulls' potential weariness will be critical in overcoming the 3-point spread. My prediction leans towards the Charlotte Hornets to cover, plus a 3-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Detroit Pistons and Cleveland Cavaliers. Tonight's showdown has the Detroit Pistons hitting the hardwood in Cleveland to square off against the Cavaliers. This matchup promises to be a sizzling face-off, given the current groove and the back-in-the-day play stats of both squads. The Pistons, sporting a season tally of 6 wins against 40 defeats, are in a bit of a pickle. They're dropping an average of 112.43 points every game, but are getting hammered with 122.13 points on the flip side. Their shooting game is at 47.22% from the field, and they're hitting 35.33% from downtown. They're snagging 43.50 boards and dishing out 26.35 assists per night. Yet, they've been showing some grit recently, beating the odds in 7 of their last 8 games when it comes to the spread. Despite the rough season, this upswing hints they might just bring their A-game tonight, particularly in beating the point spread. The Cavaliers, on the flip side, are riding high with 28 wins and just 16 losses. They're netting an average of 114 over points per game and holding their rivals to 109.84 points. Their field goal and three-point percentages are a notch higher at 47.75% and 35.90%, respectively. In terms of rebounds and assists, they're leading with 45.09 and 26.67 per game. Their recent run is nothing short of stellar, matching the Pistons 7-1 against the spread in their past 8 and clinching 10 out of their last 11 games outright. Looking back at their head-to-head clashes, the Cavs have been the boss, especially in their own backyard. They've clinched all of the last 5 home games against the Pistons and are rocking a solid home record this season. The Pistons haven't snagged a win in their last 5 visits to Cleveland, but have managed to cover the spread twice. Putting all this into perspective, the Cavs are the heavy favorites for tonight's face-off. They're on fire, especially on home turf, and seem to outclass the Pistons in most stat lines. The Pistons, though showing some tenacity against the spread, are up against a formidable foe and might struggle to grab the W. Weighing both teams' current form, historical showdowns, and key stats, the smart money is on the Cleveland Cavaliers, not just to win, but to also outpace the 11.5-point spread. With home court advantage, superior stats in crucial areas, and a solid track record, they look set to dominate in this matchup. I'm placing my bets on the Cleveland Cavaliers to come out on top and beat the 11-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Los Angeles Clippers and Washington Wizards. In the high-octane NBA arena, the face-off between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Washington Wizards is turning heads. The Clippers are storming the court with an impressive 30-15 tally, showcasing a killer combo of sharp offense and tight defense. They're dropping an average of 118.16 points per game while locking down the opposition to just 111.66 points. Their shooting game is on fire, hitting almost half their shots at 49.46% and sinking trays at a cool 39.40%. On the glass, they're beasts, pulling down 43.45 boards a game, a key playmaker in their upcoming showdown. The Wizards, on the flip side, are in a bit of a jam with a .937 record. They're scoring an average of 115.09 points, but getting burned on defense, allowing a steep 124.22 points per game. Their shooting isn't as hot as the Clippers, with a 47.60% field goal rate and 35.17% from downtown. Rebounding isn't their strong suit either, averaging just 40.22 rebounds, which might cost them against the Clippers' might. The game's a tale of recent forms. The Clippers are acing it both straight up and against the spread, particularly against the Wizards. But the Wizards are hitting a rough patch, especially in their turf and in recent Wednesday clashes, particularly against teams from the West. Looking back, the Clippers have the upper hand in head-to-head battles, especially in Washington, where they've consistently outplayed and outscored the Wizards. Injury reports can't be ignored. The Clippers will miss Ivica Zubac's presence, while the Wizards might be down Isaiah Livers. These gaps could shift the game's rhythm. Weighing the stats, trends, history, and current form, the smart money is on the Los Angeles Clippers to beat the 12-point spread. Their superior firepower and defense, combined with their recent form and track record against the Wizards, especially on their turf, position them as the likely victors. The total points are predicted to fall below 238.5, thanks to the Clippers' solid defense and the Wizards' recent low-scoring games. I'm backing the Los Angeles Clippers to clear the 12-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Sacramento Kings and Miami Heat. Tonight's showdown on the hardwood features a tantalizing clash as the Sacramento Kings roll into Miami to take on the Heat. The Kings, strutting in with an impressive 27-18 record, are set to duel with the Heat, who are hovering at a 24-23 mark. Sacramento's scoring game is on fire, dropping an average of 118.73 points per night, dwarfing Miami's 110.48. But on the defense end, it's a tight race. The Kings are giving up 118 points per matchup, just a step ahead of the Heat's 111.57. The real game changer here is shooting accuracy. Sacramento's nailing 47.90% from the field, just nudging ahead of Miami's 46.24%. From downtown, it's a toss-up, with the Kings draining threes at 37.32% and the Heat slightly better at 37.66%. The battle for the boards is crucial too, with Sacramento snagging 43.41 rebounds a game, out-muscling Miami's 41.28. When it comes to dishing out assists, Sacramento leads the pack with 28.80 per game, leaving Miami trailing with 25.63. This speaks volumes about the Kings' teamwork and slick passing. Looking at recent form, the Kings have been tearing it up, going 4-1 in their last 5 and boasting a solid 9-3 record against the spread in their last dozen face-offs with the Heat. But their performance in Miami has been shaky, with a concerning 2-18 in their last 20 road battles against the Heat. The Heat, meanwhile, are struggling to find their groove, with a 0-7 run both straight up and against the spread in their last 7. However, they've been kings of their court against Sacramento, owning an 18-2 straight-up record in their last 20 home games against the Kings. Past matchups in Miami show the Heat's upper hand, with the Kings managing just 1 win in their last 5 visits, but beating the spread in 3 of those games. Injury-wise, both squads are nearly at full throttle, though the Kings' Sasha Vezenkov and the Heat's Duncan Robinson are on the maybe list. So, the forecast for tonight? A neck-and-neck battle. The Kings are favored by a slim 2-point margin, and while they've been the stronger team this season, the Heat's historical edge on their home court against Sacramento can't be ignored. The over-under is pegged at 230.5, hinting at a high-octane scoring affair. With the Kings' offensive firepower and the Heat's recent troubles against the spread, logic points to a Sacramento win and cover, banking on their scoring prowess and current momentum. But considering the Heat's home court history and the Kings' struggles in Miami, expect a tight contest. The total points are tipped to soar over 230.5, fueled by both teams' offensive leanings. Bottom line, this game's outcome is up in the air, but I'm placing my bets on the Miami Heat to snag a victory at home and reignite their winning streak, with a scorefest likely pushing the total past 230.5 points. The next today's prediction is for the game between New Orleans Pelicans and Houston Rockets. As the countdown to tip-off begins for the New Orleans Pelicans and Houston Rockets clash, we're gearing up for a riveting NBA face-off. The Pelicans are bringing the heat with a 26-21 record, lighting up the scoreboard with a hefty 116.74 points a night. On defense, they're giving up 113.04 points, but they're nailing shots with a solid 48.60% field goal rate and drilling 38.28% from beyond the arc. These hoopmasters are also fierce on the glass, snagging 44.43 boards and dishing out 26.98 assists per game. The Rockets, close on their heels with a 22-24 slate, are also high flyers in scoring, averaging 113.27 points per game. They've got a slight edge defensively, allowing 112.38 points per game. Shooting-wise, they've got a 46.17% field goal average and are hitting 35.22% from downtown. They out-rebound the Pelicans, pulling down 42 rebounds per game, but lag slightly in playmaking with 24.96 assists per game. The recent form shows the Pelicans in a bit of a slump with a 1-4 run in their last 5 games, while the Rockets are bouncing back, going 4-1 against the spread in their recent outings. In the past 10 head-to-heads, the Pelicans have been the top dogs, winning and beating the spread in 6 of those matchups. However, in their last 5 showdowns in Houston, the Pelicans have clinched and covered the spread only twice. On the injury front, the Pelicans might miss Herbert Jones, and the Rockets are without Tari Eason. Keep your eyes peeled for Zion Williamson of the Pelicans, a powerhouse on the floor, and Alperen Sengun of the Rockets, who's been racking up impressive stats. Weighing all this, I'm siding with the New Orleans Pelicans. Despite hitting a rough patch, their season-long scoring and shooting accuracy give them an edge over the Rockets. With Williamson leading the charge in support from sharpshooters like Brandon Ingram and C.J. McCollum, the Pelicans are poised to outplay the Rockets' home advantage and recent form surge. The Rockets, though impressive in rebounds and at home, might find it tough to stifle the Pelicans' dynamic offense, especially their superior three-point game. Expect a high-octane, scoreboard-busting matchup where I'm backing the New Orleans Pelicans to triumph and beat this realistic 2-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Dallas Mavericks and Minnesota Timberwolves. Tonight's hoop saga unfolds as the Dallas Mavericks hit the hardwood in Minnesota, squaring off against the Timberwolves. With a tally of 26 wins and 21 losses, the Mavericks are limping into this game, missing the magic of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving due to injuries. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves are howling strong with a commanding 33-14 record. Diving into the stats, it's a game of contrasting styles. Offensively, Dallas racks up an average of 118.65 points per game, edging out Minnesota's 113.07. But when it comes to defense, the Timberwolves are the bosses, allowing just 107.59 points per game, while the Mavericks lag with 118.35. Shooting efficiency is also in the Timberwolves' court. They're netting a cool 48.91% from the field, outshining the Mavericks 47.27%. In the realm of threes, Minnesota's aim is sharper, with a 38.97% success rate, topping Dallas at 37.14%. Rebounds? It's Minnesota again, snagging 43.59 per game, over Dallas's 41.76. Passing the rock, both teams are neck and neck. Minnesota has a slight edge with 26.39 assists per game, just over Dallas's 25.48. But the Mavericks are facing tough times. They've missed the mark against the spread in 5 of their last 6 games and have been stumbling in recent face-offs with the Timberwolves, especially on Minnesota's turf. Looking at their past matchups in Minnesota, it's Timberwolves territory, with Dallas clinching just 1 win in their last 5 visits. Given the Mavericks' injury troubles and the Timberwolves' solid stance at home, the 13-point spread favoring Minnesota is no shocker. So, what's the game plan for Dallas against the Wolves? With Karl Anthony Towns shooting over Grant Williams and Rudy Gobert overpowering Dwight Powell in the paint, Dallas is in a bind. They lack a solid on-ball defender to contain Anthony Edwards, and their weak rim protection could be their downfall. Wrapping it up, I'm putting my money on the Timberwolves. Their top-tier defense should easily clamp down on Dallas's hampered offense. With the Mavericks' weakened lineup and shaky defense, keeping their score above 105 seems like a tall order. The current form and stats lean heavily towards a Timberwolves triumph on their home court. I'm backing the Minnesota Timberwolves to grab the win and beat the 13-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Orlando Magic and San Antonio Spurs. Tonight's face-off between the Orlando Magic and the San Antonio Spurs is gearing up to be a hoop extravaganza, with both teams ready to hit the hardwood. Analyzing the stats, Orlando Magic is holding its ground with 24 wins to 23 losses, nailing an impressive average of 111.35 points a game. They're tearing up the court with a solid field goal average of 46.74 and sinking threes at a 34.05% clip. Their rebound hustle is on point, pulling down 43.22 boards a game and dishing out 24.57 assists. On the other hand, the San Antonio Spurs, despite their tough season, 10 wins, 37 losses, are still a squad to watch out for. They've notched a slightly higher points average per game at 112.87. Their shooting game is neck and neck with the Magic, with a 46.21 field goal percentage and edging out the Magic in threes at 34.46%. The Spurs are almost mirroring the Magic in rebounds, grabbing 43. 17 per game, and they're leading in assists with an average of 29.43. Historically, when the Spurs host the Magic, the scales often tip in San Antonio's favor. In their last 10 matchups, the Spurs have taken the lead, with the Magic only securing 3 victories and beating the spread in 2 of their last 5 games in San Antonio. This pattern is key, particularly with the Magic's recent rough patch on the road, bagging just 1 win in their last 6 away games. Yet, the recent performance of both teams is something to consider. The Orlando Magic have hit a slump, with the total points dipping under in 8 of their last 12 games. Their record is 3-8 in the last 11 games, facing a tough time against Western Conference teams. On the flip side, the Spurs are defying expectations, beating the spread in 11 of their last 15 games, although their home game record isn't as shiny. Neither team is coming off a back-to-back game tonight, so expect full-throttle energy from both. The San Antonio Spurs have shown glimpses of a competitive spirit, but their youthfulness hinders consistent play. The Orlando Magic, despite a cool-down in wins and losses, have a strong record of 30-17 against the spread this season. Factoring in all these elements, it looks like the Orlando Magic are set to overcome their recent obstacles and beat the 4.5-point spread. Their slightly superior overall field goal percentage and their track record against Western Conference foes might just be their trump card. However, the game could also see a surge in total points, crossing the 227-point line, given the Spurs' penchant for high-scoring home games. Wrapping it up, the smart money is on the Orlando Magic to clinch the win and cover the spread, anticipating a scoreboard light-up, pushing the total points over 227. The next today's prediction is for the game between Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder. As the countdown to tip-off ticks away for the Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder at Paycom Center, we're gearing up for a showdown that promises to be nothing short of epic. The Nuggets are leading the charge with a record of 33-15, just nudging ahead of the Thunder, who are hot on their heels at 32-15. It's a tight race in the standings, but let's dive into the stats for the real scoop. Offensively, these teams are bringing the heat. The Nuggets are dropping an impressive 115.04 points per game, but the Thunder are not to be outwon, racking up 120.77 points per game. The defensive end is where the Nuggets shine a bit brighter, holding opponents to 110.92 points per game, a smidge better than the Thunder's 112.91. In shooting efficiency, it's a neck-to-neck battle with the Thunder slightly ahead at 50.22%, leaving the Nuggets trailing at 49.55%. From downtown, the Thunder also takes the lead with a 38.78% success rate, edging out the Nuggets' 36.90%. Rebounds could be the game changer here. The Nuggets are snagging 43.98 rebounds per game, outdoing the Thunder's 41.21. This rebounding prowess, coupled with their superior assist count of 28.83 per game compared to the Thunder's 27.02, hints at smoother ball distribution. Key players for the Nuggets, Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, are crucial with their contributions in scoring, rebounding, and assists, with Murray being a standout in three-pointers. While specifics on the Thunder's players are scarce, their team game has been commendable this season. Historically, the Nuggets have been the dominant force in their encounters, especially when playing in Oklahoma City. Winning 4 of the last 5 games there and beating the spread in 3, they're looking strong for tonight's matchup. Both squads are coming into the game relatively unscathed, with only a few players listed as questionable, suggesting a clash at near full strength. The betting scene is buzzing with predictions leaning towards the Nuggets covering the spread. Their track record in Oklahoma City and some statistical upper hands in key areas make them a solid bet. However, the total points might fall short of the mark, perhaps due to the Nuggets' methodical pace and recent trends towards lower-scoring games. All signs point to a nail-biter, where the Denver Nuggets could narrowly outpace the Oklahoma City Thunder. Their historical prowess in Oklahoma and certain statistical edges give them the nudge. In a rare turn as the underdog, I'm placing my bets on the Nuggets to beat the 3-point spread and for the total points to exceed 228. This prediction synthesizes season-long performances, player stats, historical patterns, and recent form. But as always in sports, the actual game might have a few surprises up its sleeve. The next today's prediction is for the game between Phoenix Suns and Brooklyn Nets. Tonight's basketball extravaganza features the Phoenix Suns rolling into Brooklyn, set to battle the Nets in a matchup where fortunes diverge. The Suns, cruising with a solid 27-20 record, are blazing trails lately, boasting an 8-2 surge in their recent 10 games. Contrastingly, the Brooklyn Nets, at 19-27, are grappling to strike a consistent rhythm. Offensively, the Suns are outscoring with an average of 116.37 points per game, eclipsing the Nets' 113.31. Their precision in shooting is evident, with a robust field goal percentage of 49.22%, outshining the Nets' 45.88%. This stat underscores their efficiency in finding the net. Beyond the arc, the Suns also have the upper hand, with a three-point shooting percentage of 37.72% compared to the Nets' 36.17%. When it comes to rebounds, the Nets hold a slender lead, averaging 45.51 rebounds per game over the Suns' 43.17. Yet, it's debatable whether this edge can counterbalance the Suns' offensive might. Assists are neck and neck for both squads, hovering around 26 per game, a testament to their collective playmaking skills. Looking at recent head-to-head history, they've split the last 10 games. However, the Suns have recently had the upper hand in Brooklyn, winning and covering the spread in 2 of their last 5 visits. This trend could be telling for tonight's game. Injury updates could be pivotal. The Suns may miss Grayson Allen and Bol, while the Nets are without Dorian Finney-Smith and Day'Ron Sharpe, potentially affecting both teams' strategies and depth. The Suns have shown prowess against Eastern Conference teams, with a 7-2 record recently, but they've stumbled against Atlantic Division teams, reflected in their 1-4 record against the spread. The Nets, meanwhile, are facing a rough patch, especially against the spread, going 4-12-1 in their last 17 games. Statistically, the Suns seem primed for victory with their scoring efficiency and recent dominance in Brooklyn. However, the Nets' rebounding prowess and the Suns' struggles against Atlantic Division teams suggest a tighter contest. The odds favor the Suns by 3.5 points, with an expected total score of 232.5. While the Suns are the likely victors, the Nets' home court advantage and resilience, coupled with the Suns' Atlantic Division woes, might see Brooklyn covering the 3.5-point spread. In essence, my prediction leans towards the Nets making it a nail-biter, potentially covering the spread. My bet is on the Brooklyn Nets to beat the 3.5-point spread. The last prediction for today is for the matchup between Milwaukee Bucks and Portland Trail Blazers. Tonight's headline game features the sky-soaring Milwaukee Bucks, flaunting an impressive 32-15 win-loss record, squaring off against the underdog Portland Trail Blazers, currently lagging with a 14-33 record. This isn't just a numbers game, it's a clash of distinct play styles and tactics on the court. The Bucks' scoring game is on another level. They're racking up an impressive 124.04 points per game, leaving the Blazers 108.28 in the dust. This scoring powerhouse thrives on a solid field goal rate of 49.68% and a sharp 38.00% from beyond the arc. Not to mention, their rebound game is strong, pulling down 44.55 boards a game, overshadowing Portland's 41.64. Yet, the stats tell a deeper story. Despite their superior numbers, the Bucks have been fumbling against the spread, with a 3-12 record in their last 15 outings. Their road game is even shakier, hitting 0-7 against the spread. This suggests a disconnect between their theoretical dominance and actual game results, particularly when playing away. On the other hand, the Trailblazers shine on their home court. They've beaten the spread in 5 of their last 6 home games, demonstrating true grit in familiar confines. Despite trailing in overall stats, their tenacious play makes them a tough contender, especially given the Bucks' recent road woes against the spread. Historically, the Bucks have had the upper hand in Portland, winning and beating the spread in their last 4 matchups. However, with the Blazers in form and the Bucks struggling on the road against the spread, the stage is set for an interesting showdown. The Blazers look ready to capitalize on their home turf and the Bucks' recent spread issues to beat the 9.5-point spread set by odds makers. Injury reports could be a game changer. The Bucks are at full strength, but Portland's bench might feel the absence of Shaedon Sharpe, questionable, and Moses Brown, out. The over-under line at 235.5 points is another hot topic. Considering the Bucks' high-scoring trend and the Blazers' offensive surge at home, betting over on total points looks promising. Wrapping it up, while the Bucks may clinch the win in a high-scoring duel, the smart bet is on the Trailblazers to beat the 9.5-point spread in their house. Their home court tenacity, combined with the Bucks' road spread struggles, tips the scales in Portland's favor. Brace for a tight, intense battle with the Blazers keeping it closer than the spread indicates. I'm placing my bet on the Portland Trail Blazers to beat the 9.5-point spread and for the total points to exceed 235.5.